Today we're going to have a look at another part of the balance sheet, another sort of topic which is included, and that is talking more specifically about one type of asset that we have in the balance sheet, and that is the intangible assets. So let's go have a look at what we have to cover there. So there are different types of intangible assets, and it's important to understand what are intangible assets. First, let's have a look at just the word intangible. Intangible means that we cannot touch it, okay? It's not anything physical, but obviously the fact that it's an asset shows us or gives us a hint that it has some value for the business. So what type of asset could be intangible? First of all, marketing. Different activities. If you do marketing well, it's going to have great value for the business. Then something connected to customers. Customers can be an asset, right? Art, goodwill. What is specifically meant by goodwill, I'm going to explain in a minute. Technology, so anything connected to that, which is not tangible. So here we're just talking about the intangible parts of technology, and any type of contracts. So let's dig in more detail. Like, what do we mean by these different intangible assets? So marketing, here we can refer to any trademarks, logos, phrases, words or symbols, basically anything that sort of gives value to your brand, creates your brand, gives value to the product. Let's think of like some typical examples, like what let's say logos are the most well known, and maybe phrases or slogans. Would you be able to recognize the logo, let's say, of Coca-Cola or McDonald's? What are their phrases? What are their slogans? Think about, what about, for example, even the recipe? Yeah. What about the recipe of Coca-Cola? That is, the recipe actually itself is not going to be marketing related, but you see, these are different things that are going to bring value, that are going to differentiate the product in the eyes of the customer, and that is why we would place it and categorize it as an intangible asset. Actually, the most, I think that Coca-Cola, the logo and this sort of marketing related activity, or the intangible assets, is what makes the company so, let's say, wealthy, because it is valued as it has high value put on it. Customers, what do we mean by that? So customer related stuff. This can be, for example, lists of regular customers, reliable customers. The fact that you have a business that already is established, that it has loyal customers, means that you can easily sell the business, put higher value on it. It's such a business is probably going to be valued at a higher price than a business that is just starting and doesn't have any customers at all. Because actually it is the most expensive to gain or attract a new customer. Yeah. In order to retain an existing customer, the business actually needs to spend less money than to attract a new one. Therefore, if you already have customers, it is more likely that they're going to come back, and that is why customers is another type of intangible asset. Art. So under art, we can put anything related to art, like artistic. So here we can place any ownership rights, for example, to plays, to literary works, musical works, pictures, photographs, video, audiovisual material. Just think of the rights. Sometimes I think there was a case in the Czech Republic. Different, I don't know, family members or what was it? Companies were like arguing or suing each other over the rights to Hurvinek, or was it Krteček? I'm not sure, but very like to basically this these works, these assets that have high value, and if you're the owner of such works, or of such yeah, for example, of the copyright, then obviously you're going to benefit from it. That's why um, disputes such as this, get started. Goodwill. Goodwill is actually defined as the difference between the balance sheet values of your assets and the price for which you sell the business to someone else. So if I'm a new business, I'm operating, I'm doing my accounting. We did some examples of how the accounting is done in our previous lesson. And once I, let's say, finish at the end of the year, I have my balance sheet. I show my company to an investor, and I say, oh, but here's my balance sheet. It's a great company, but I actually want to sell it for more than what's the value of the assets. I mean, the investor is going to be happy to pay more because I have added I have added value in the form of like creating the business, sort of managing the business, getting the idea started for them. So the investor is going to be happy to pay me more than what is the sort of sheet value of the business, of the assets. So once he buys the business, this value this basically can increase the value of the business itself. So then that is goodwill, the difference, so that somehow this difference can be then accounted for in the next year balance sheet. Technology, here we would be putting things such as patents. If you're a software making company, you could also put your software there. Although if you are a software making company, then that software could be considered as your product. But maybe if you're not a software company and you own some software, that is also going to be an intangible asset. So anything like technology related. But here, most of the time when we talk about intangible assets, we actually also mean patents. Patents, we're probably going to describe in the next slide if you don't know what it means. And then the last one, contracts. Anything contract related. So for example, you can have a franchise, you can have some license agreements, some construction permits, some like different broadcasting rights or service or supply contracts. If you basically if your business has these contracts, it's almost as valuable as having those customers. You already are creating a network. Maybe you have contracts with your distributors. Those could be in a way your customers, or like the fact that you even went and got those permits is adding value to your business, and you should get rewarded for that. This could be valued as an intangible asset when, for example, selling your business. You could show it to potential investors saying, look, this is my business, this is how I value my intangible assets. Are you, ready to buy it for the offered price or not? So intangible assets, a lot of the times the different words or definitions used there is, for a lot of the times we're using intellectual property. So what does intellectual property mean? It's actually an intangible asset that has been developed from human ideas and knowledge. Okay, it is sort of using again the word intangible asset. And then another term is market value, and this is the estimated total value of a company if it were taken over. Obviously, intangible assets are probably going to increase the market value of a company. That is why it is mentioned here. So what do these intangible assets have in common? They're obviously very hard to put a value on. And different accountants might have different opinions on how to set a value on these intangible assets. You might also look at the specifics of the country that you're operating in. Different countries might have different, let's say, laws which refer to the valuation of assets. And another thing about intangible assets is that their value can actually fluctuate. Yeah. But depending on the situation which the business is in, depending on the situation which the market is in. So we need to be counting on that and also review the sort of valuation of the intangible assets in time. Obviously, a patent, after, let's say, it's open for others to produce your good, your patent is going to lose value. The patent is going to be only as valuable for as long as it is useful. It gives you the protection that it's supposed to. So balance sheets do not usually record these assets, also known as intellectual property, unless they are gained through takeover or merger. Okay, so this is why we're referring also to the market value. Why I was talking about showing your intangible assets to an investor. Unless you're trying to sell your business, then you don't basically have a reason why to put value on your intangible assets. You're just running your business as is. Intangible assets are for many companies the main source of future earnings. The market value of companies with many intangible assets will be higher than the balance sheet value. Yep, that's sort of what I was hinting at with the company Coca-Cola. If it has an intangible assets which is valued at a high price, then obviously that intangible asset, the logos, the slogans, the recipe, they can be the source of revenue, and therefore this is why the market value will be higher.